Yep, we're talking about that Jesus. And I'm going to preface with a few things. Number one, I wear a 2XL, so if you want to order me a straight jacket, please make sure you get the right size. Number two, the human guide that I worked with two separate human guides here, but the human guide I worked with, one of them is a nuclear physicist. She's not a religious nut job. I am not being led by anyone who is of that sort. Okay? So, I am going to try to do justice to the experience that I had. I wrote a lot down. We, on March 13th, which it's been a couple weeks now because I didn't know how to explain this to y'all. But I promised I would make videos about everything that I'm experiencing. So, here we are. But it's been a couple weeks, right? And the human guide that I was working with. I know I always say human guide and it sounds weird, but we're talking about guides, so it just makes sense to me. But we did a session where I went in and the intention was to meet my master teacher guide. Okay. Master teacher guide or your main guide, the messages you get are usually just for you, but you can ask for like your life path information. A lot of times they are ascended masters or illuminated beings that chose lives on earth. Some of them did. They're very knowledgeable. That's why they're the master teacher. They can have more, and you can have more than one master teacher, or it could be the same being who up-leveled, which is very interesting because of my experience, and I'll talk about that. But this is different. Your master teacher guide, from what I'm understanding, is very different than your other guides. You get your own aspect in the other guides, but with the master teacher guide, you get the main being, and that main being has a bunch of other charges. So they work with you, they work with a bunch of other people, and they also work with your guides. So you can kind of think of it as like they're right here and all your other guides are here. They're like the manager of all the guides. So when I went into my meditative trance state, can't believe I'm saying this out loud. Okay, here we are. Thankfully, only 3 of you are watching this still. All right. Yeah, so I went into my meditative state. Now, my human guide had told me it could be an ascended master, long list of ascended masters. And to be completely honest, I was like, I'm okay with any of them coming through except for Jesus. And no offense to the J-Man, okay? But the Christians have ruined him for me, historically. I have lots of religious trauma from multiple churches, religious people, right? So when I started on my spiritual path, my awakening and all of this, there wasn't a bunch of angels that I was trying to talk to. There wasn't Jesus and the gold Christ light and all this stuff that I'm hearing about. But when I went into this meditation, I had to write this down because I couldn't believe it. It was the only way I can describe it is like eccentric, like the way I would picture Albert Einstein energy. And it was very eccentric. But the very first thing I felt was their hands on my shoulders. I have not felt a touch like that in my trance states before. And the very first thing I heard, order the straitjacket, y'all. The very first thing I heard was, Jesus is Metatron. I'll say it again. Jesus is Metatron. And I heard that and I was like, what the beep? Okay. So when I heard that, I am really shocked that I just didn't snap out of it and leave the trance, but I stayed in. And I walked through and we ended up in like this outer space type thing. And then there was this gold and white and rainbow light. It was like this tall, oblong light. And I just kept walking towards it, and then it told me that it was Yeshua. And of my current mind and trying to rack my brain and ever have heard that before, I don't think I've ever heard Jesus called Yeshua. And so I was intrigued. I heard Yeshua and I was like, ooh, who's that? I don't know who that is. I've never heard of that, right? And so I'm listening and I'm walking closer. And then eventually he was like, I'm Jesus. And so I got lots of messages. I was told that I'm not meant to be a master at one thing. I am a gateway for others to teach what I love and keep adding to it. I am here to help others heal. My hands were vibrating. I'm reading my notes, y'all. There was golden rainbow light. It said, so much inspiration. My body is vibrating, very caring and loving. And that's when it came in and said Yeshua. And so I asked for a message, and he said very clearly, you know nothing of me except pure love. Everything else needs to be learned by having a relationship with me and your other guides. You are here to heal with your hands and with your heart. Continue to be a gateway to awakening and ascension for those who are skeptical and looking to you for answers. I had to, that was what came through in my trance. I had to watch the video and write that down. This symbol kept coming through to me as well. I still don't know what this symbol means, but I kept drawing it over and over and over again. I'm a terrible artist, but you get the point. A star and a circle, or a spiral. And so I was pretty freaked out by that. And I talked to my human guide about it because of my thoughts of religion. If you know me at all, I have been hating on religion for damn near 2 decades. I used to be a Sunday school teacher. I was raised in church. And I have nothing nice to say about Christianity. Nothing. Not a damn thing. And so when Jesus and angels are brought up, that kind of triggers that thought of Christianity. But as I have gone deeper into these meditations with Jesus, it feels crazy to me too, okay? I've learned that the Christians really messed the whole thing up when it came to Jesus. Like, I'm not going to go on a tangent. I'm just sharing my experience, so I'm not going to go there. But yeah, that was a couple weeks ago. And then last week, I went on another session with the help of a human guide, and I got that symbol again. I got that. And she said we get one aspect of the guides, which is why so many have the same guides. But it was interesting to me, like I said at the beginning, that they can like kind of level up and become a new guide. And so I got right away the message, Jesus is Metatron. So like, is Metatron like the final boss kind of dude, and Jesus is like leveling up to be Metatron? Or is it vice versa? I have no idea. No idea. I did Google though, after my session, I did Google Jesus is Metatron, and apparently it's a thing. Like, people believe that this, like, it makes sense to them. The fact that came to me when I hadn't even heard of Metatron not that long ago, when I had turned completely away from anything to do with Jesus and angels and stuff, it's been pretty crazy, right? So I'll finish this note, but I want to share ADHD. I went to a healing session last week in person, and this lady, oh my gosh, I haven't been sharing names, but I love this lady. Maybe I'll share her name eventually. I go to her classes on Monday. It's psychic and mediumship development. I accidentally ended up there. Accidentally. I saw an ad for psychic development classes, and I went. About an hour in, she's like, okay, we're going to talk to dead people now. I don't think she really said it that way, but that's what I heard in my head. And I was like, what the? So it was actually psychic mediumship development. Up until that point, I had never, ever, ever even considered talking to people who had passed. Even my relatives, once they're gone, they're gone. It's okay. They're gone. Wow. Her classes have opened me up to so much. But she's all about like the gold Christ light. And I was very opposed to that. I just blocked her out when she talked about it, when she talked about Jesus and the angels and all this. Well, last week I went to one of her trance healing sessions, and we worked on, healing each other, helping each other heal. And this man came up to me, and I don't talk to men. My husband is the only man. I don't like men. I don't talk to them. But this man came up to me, and I had no bad feelings towards him. He was very calm, and I was just like, I felt very safe, and it was really weird. And I was like, okay. And he's like, I felt called to come and, lay hands on you. And again, man touching me, absolutely effing not. But I just sat there and I let him, and he put his hands on my shoulders, and he said, this is my angels are going to connect to your angels. And again, this is 2 weeks after I was talking about Jesus. And then a couple days after, again, I was talking about Jesus. And then the next day after this is when I did the second Jesus session. But when I tell you that I have never in my life been so deep in a meditative state, and I never in my life have felt so healed, I can't even explain it. And I don't know if he was just like mystical, magical, or if there's really a bunch of angels that were working, because I've never felt like such a deep, deep love. Like, just I can't even put it into words. And usually when I do a meditation, like as soon as someone's like, okay, you can, relax, come out, take your time, I snap out of it right away. He tapped and told me he was done. I don't know how long I sat there. I don't know how long I sat after, but I did not want to come back. I was so deep into the angel realm. I've never felt such calm and safety and love, and I don't know. So with all that being said, I'm open. Okay. I'm open to accepting the, Yeshua messages. It's easier for me to say Yeshua because Jesus is associated with the church to me, and I can't handle it. So I've said Jesus in this message, or in this video, but I prefer just say Yeshua because that feels like a different person to me, even though it's not. And the angels. I've gotten like there's a bunch of tarot decks and oracle decks I got, and if they had angels, I'm like, no, thank you. Like, what is her name? Dolores Cannon or something like that. And then the Doreen Virtue lady. Like, I'm good without the angels. But now I'm like, huh, interesting. I kind of like the angel healings. So on the last session, the March 27th, we can have hundreds of guides. They each come forward when they're needed. And I totally believe that because I've had readings and they're like, you have so many guides like lined up to speak. And you can also ask your guide to help bring your other guides forward. This human guide said angels come in all sizes. She has seen them flying with ambulances, and they were as big as fire trucks, which is insane to think of. I can't even think of that. And then she also said, let's see. Oh, in this session, there's one other lady. So there's the human guide, and then there's me and one other lady that were practicing. She said, so she came in and she went first. I did not say anything. I did not mention Yeshua, Jesus, nothing. She said that she did the practice and her master teacher guide was also Jesus. And she grew up with a Jewish family. So it wasn't like she was like this Christian, person that was pulling, right? And so she said that when he was on earth, she was a child, and the message she got was to allow. And I feel like every message she was giving was like for the collective. It was very fitting. We talked a little bit about the gold Christ light, which again, like I said, I've been very opposed to, but I'm getting there. Discard past thoughts and judgments. Carry love for me, for you, and for everyone. That's the message I got from Yeshua in that session. And then I also got the message to practice channeled writing, because Jesus, J-Man, Yeshua, comes through very easily with channeled writing. I wrote down galactic angels, and then at a meetup that I hosted last night, I was talking about my experience with, Yeshua, the angels and stuff. And my friend said that, what did she say? She said, angels are ascended galactics, or galactics are ascended angels, something like that. But I didn't even realize this says galactic angels. So that was very interesting. Oh, and I drew this weird thing. Look at this. I don't even know what that is, what it could be, anything like that, but it came through. Let go of past trauma to be able to come in and allow the info and light to come to me. That's the first step to ascension. I am fully integrated, grounded, and expanding in aligned power. That's an affirmation. So, like I said, 2XL if y'all are ordering me a straitjacket. I realize how absolutely batty this sounds, but I promised y'all, all three of you, I promised y'all that I would tell you exactly what was going on as it went on. And I did wait a couple weeks. Sorry. I didn't know what the heck to say. But is what it is. Is it any crazier that I'm talking to Jesus than it is that I'm talking to aliens? I don't think so. I think it's all a little wild, weird, amazing. I love it. And I don't even care if there's judgment. There's no, I have no feelings about it. It was so peaceful, the angel healing. I'm like, how do I work this into my galactic energy healing sessions? And Kevin and I did a galactic energy healing session together the other day, and it was absolutely magical. And can you imagine us calling in the angel healing? Like, oh my goodness. This is just the beginning. And I hope that not only I hope that you enjoy these updates, but I hope that you're experiencing your own stuff. And I would love for you to share that with me. And as always, drop a peace sign emoji in the comments if you watched the whole thing.